Hey everyone, Camille here from 88 Fitness Training. Welcome back. Today we have the ultimate how-to guide for deadlifts. So if you've ever wondered what is the proper form, what techniques can I use to improve and make it better, what are the benefits, this is the video for you, so stay tuned. So the deadlift is the ultimate compound exercise. I mean, you are training everything from your hamstrings, glutes, quads, spinal erectors, even muscles in your back. If you've been watching our channel for a while, you know James and I had this great debate on our live. If you could only pick one exercise to do for muscle hypertrophy, what would it be? The deadlift! It is that good of an exercise. It has so many benefits for improving functional strength with just, picking up everyday items, to improving posture, even helps with some of your other lifts as well as building muscle. So tons and tons of benefits associated with the deadlift. Unfortunately, unless you've been taught or trained how to do the deadlift, it's a very intimidating exercise for a lot of people. A lot of times it's just the barbell itself that makes it intimidating, but that aside, it still is a pretty technical lift, and you do want to make sure that you do it properly, because I'm sure everyone has heard a horror story or two where someone got hurt performing the deadlift. So let's alleviate all of those concerns today. I will take you through the setup and exactly how to perform the deadlift, as well as show you some advanced tips that you can do. If this is your first time really deadlifting with a barbell, I really encourage you to start very, very light. So whether that's just, bar by itself, or just like, you can usually have bumper plates. So I just have 10-pound plates on here. They look like they're 45s, but they're not. They're really light, like you can pick them up like Frisbees. So definitely start with the lightest bumper plates that your gym has. All right, so now you have your bar set up. Go ahead and place it on the floor like I have it. The first place we're going to start is with the feet, right? It all starts with the feet because this is the point that you're anchoring to the ground, that you're driving all the force through. So you want to stand with the bar right over the top of your feet, and you want your feet about hip width, right? So on this particular bar that we have, it's almost like a place for them, you can see. But this is more of like a benching bar, not a deadlift bar. But that aside, you want the bar right over the top part of your foot, right there, like right where your shoelaces would be. All right, so now that your feet are on the floor, you want a nice firm grip. And then with your hands, you want to keep your hands outside of your hips. At no point do you want your hands inside of the knees or on top of the knees. So keep your hands, just let them hang. Now we're going to bend at the knee and the hip. We're going to go down and grab the bar, just like this. So if you see, my hands are outside of my knees. They're not in like this, and they're definitely not inside my knees. They are outside my knees. So with a nice firm grip on the bar, all you're going to do is stand up, just like that. We're going to come back down and reverse it. And you really want to keep this bar really close to the shins, almost touching the shins. A lot of times if you see power lifters, they're in those knee-high socks. That's because they're literally scraping that bar against their shins, and they need to protect them. So keep the bar really close to the shins. Now in terms of how much flex you have at the knee and the hip, you definitely want to bend. That's what makes this a deadlift. But at the same time, you want to keep the torso upright. So it's really important to push those hips back and really sit into the deadlift, right? Keep your upright torso, keep the bar close to the shins, come up, in, just like that. A great tip that you can follow is when you are right about knee height, you want to start with a hip thrust, right? You're thrusting those hips inward, just like that. So you're down here, up, thrust. All right, down here, up, thrust. All right, so now with the barbell. Again, right over shoelaces, hands outside, up, thrust. Just like that. All right, so that is the basic setup, the basic form for the deadlift. A lot of times common mistakes you see is rounding of the back. That's why it's really important to sit back into it, just like that. Keep that back flat the whole time while coming up. You never want it rounded. That's when you hear those horror stories. If something went wrong, it's because the weight was probably too heavy, they lost that core support and the back rounded. So keep all those tips in mind, but it all starts with the feet. Definitely don't want those feet far back like this, right? And you don't want them too far under, so right at the shoelace position. So let's go into some advanced tips for you. So tip number 1 is going to start with the feet. Like I said, the deadlift really starts with the feet. So how can you properly anchor the feet and really help them to drive the load? So when you're standing here, a tip that you can do is to almost corkscrew the feet. So they're planted. Now I'm going to kind of push them outward as I lift. It helps to drive more load through the legs and into the from the bar. So I'm going to come down. Again, I'm going to come up while trying to really push them outwards. If you start getting some weight on this bar, having them anchored in that way where you're trying to push them out really helps move that weight. Tip number 2 is going to be to take some slack out of the bar. And this is pretty important, especially if you're at a serious gym and they have legit deadlift bars. There is a lot of compliance in those bars. They're built that way to flex. So when you come up to the bar, you get into your position, your arms are hanging down, you want to pull up slightly. Oh, it's way too late. But you want to pull up slightly because there'll be some flex. And you just do that by engaging your lats and flattening the back. So hopefully you can see that. So you come up, go down, get in a position, take that slack out, and then stand up, just like that. So again, on a traditional deadlift bar, you're going to feel that slack. The bar will bend slightly, and you want to take that slack out before you lift the weight. All right, tip number 3. If you're still having a hard time performing the deadlift, consider adding in some accessory exercises to strengthen your legs. So you could do things like bridges, hip thrusts, hamstring curls, or maybe it's even a core thing. So incorporating exercises like planks can really help improve your performance here on the deadlift. In addition to that, you can also work in different deadlift variations. I'm not going to go through that, but I do have a video that talks about the differences between conventional deadlift, stiff leg deadlifts, and Romanian deadlifts, so check that out. But there's also sumo deadlifts and other kinds as well. So I think to have a balanced program, you definitely want to work those other kinds in, or if this one's causing you a lot of trouble, you can also work that in. All right, so let's go next into how does anatomy affect the deadlift, because it definitely can, depending on if you're super short or super tall. So if you're super short, you know, the conventional deadlift can be challenging for you. So one variation that really works for this is more of the sumo deadlift. So check that out if you're having a hard time. On the opposite end of the spectrum, if you are really tall, this exercise can be really detrimental because the athlete wants to round the back to get all the way down to grab the bar. So in that case, you can use one of these hex bars or trap bars. Looks like this. It allows a tall athlete to do the deadlift without compromising the form. So in this case, they just get in there, same position, same tips that we talked about, but they don't have to reach as far down usually, you know, and they can get the range of motion and everything. It's very similar without compromising that form. So just a couple tips if you happen to be really short or really tall. You can still do deadlifts, but you might have to switch the variation or switch which kind of barbell that you're using. All right, y'all, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. We went through the proper way to do the deadlifts. We went through technique, benefits, as well as some advanced tips and some variations that you can try based on anatomy. So hopefully you'll have more confidence in the gym the next time that you see deadlifts into your program and you want to do them. And as always, I hope you've enjoyed this video. For more like it, please check out our leg playlist. And as always, like and subscribe. Camille, 88 Fitness Training.